China's club owners, what the heck is going on? Many people say that the heart of any football club is its fans. If this is true, then we could also say that the brain of every football club is its owners. And you will not find a better description of what being a football club owner entails. Yeah, a football club can do anything without its fans, but its owners are the real dictators. And right now, many club owners are under much scrutiny. Why wouldn't they be? From the inflation affecting the transfer market to the financial debts faced by many clubs, club owners have quite a lot of cleaning up to do. Many of us will also agree that the hike in player prices was caused by some significant transfer deals done in European football in recent years, like the transfer of Neymar from Barcelona to PSG. A deal that cost the French side over 222 million euros. Or the Kylian Mbappe transfer, another deal that cost the same French side over 180 million. Yeah, all of these are significant moments that are actually ruining the transfer market. But in all this, no one tells you just how much damage China's club owners also cause to the transfer market. Way before some of these high-profile signings I mentioned took place, Chinese clubs have been breaking a bunch of transfer records just to seal some big European names. For the longest time, the Chinese government has had this ambition to become a football and super nation, just like many European countries, and this desire has caused China's club owners to continue splashing the cash. The footballing world actually started paying real attention to the Chinese Super League back in January 2016, when some Chinese clubs spent big bucks luring world-class European footballers to the country. One of the most popular and shocking signings came from Shanghai SIP when they signed Oscar from Chelsea for £52 million. Not only that, the Chinese club went on to quadruple his wages from whatever he earned at Chelsea. Yeah, it was that bad, but many more popular signings have taken place. Guangzhou Evergrande signing Jackson Martinez from Atletico, Shanghai Shenhua signing Carlos Tevez for £71 million, and many more. The Carlos Tevez transfer was another deal that caught the eyes of everyone. Upon leaving Juventus, Shanghai Shenhua offered the Argentinian striker a contract worth over £650,000 weekly. With this deal, the former United striker was earning £1 every second. Tevez was earning the average yearly wage of someone residing in Shanghai in about 3 days. No signing depicted the problems of China's club owners quite like the arrival of the aging Argentinian. In fact, at some point, retiring European stars will head to the Chinese Super League and get awarded a massive payday. China club owners even see these lucrative signings as a means of gaining favor with the Chinese government. However, what all these big signings did was turn the club and its owners to cash cows. They weren't bringing in the crowd or the interest the Super League really wanted. They weren't offering any value whatsoever. Various people came out to say that the Chinese wealth is causing more harm than good, including Tottenham's coach Antonio Conte when he was still at Chelsea. The Chinese market is a danger for all, Conte said. Not only for Chelsea, but all the teams in the world. But I think we must concentrate on our work, not think that in China there's a lot of money and they can arrive to take the player there. During the 2016 winter transfer window, the clubs in the Chinese Super League spent over £331 million in signings. Yeah, it was that much. But what they don't understand is that it is going to take more than big money to sign players and big European names to get to the heights of top European leagues and even clubs. Splashing big bucks will only do more harm than good. And many Chinese clubs are beginning to feel the impact of these ludicrous transfers. Various clubs across the top 3 divisions have been lost in the past year. Chongqing Liangqiang Athletic was the most recent club to be dissolved. The club folded on 24th of May of 2022. The COVID-19 pandemic worsened the club's debt woes, becoming the most recent club to be dissolved in a division that once spent huge on players. Jiangsu FC is another big Chinese club that was dissolved. However, they disbanded a bit earlier than Chongqing. The club was dissolved on the 28th of February 2021, and that's not even the tragic aspect of it all. Now, the really sad part is that the club folded 3 months after becoming league champions. This was also the best feat the club has ever achieved. The dissolution of Chongqing now takes it to 17 Chinese clubs that have folded in the past few years, and that's a really high figure considering just how affluent these clubs used to be. The supporters of other teams are quite worried that their teams could be next, and given that the Super League lost its champions highlights why they are right to be scared. Over a decade ago, China's President Xi Jinping expressed his view on the country's underachievement in football. He made it clear that it was time the country improved in the sport. Then, other conglomerates connected to China immediately involved themselves in the sport, and this was a bad idea. Now the whole world is realizing what happens when business owned by club owners begin to thrive. Most of China's football is still being played in empty stadiums due to the country's strict zero-COVID policy. The country even withdrew from hosting the World Cup after it spent billions of dollars building stadiums around the country. 8 stadiums were built from scratch and 2 others were renovated for the 2023 AFC Asian Cup. Most of Chinese football is still being played in empty stadiums since its restart last year. The attendances of football games are more than disturbing, with the average attendance recorded being 4,656. That's like pretty low, especially considering what the league wanted to be at the time. You know, that's like the same attendance as Walsall receives in League 2. Before Jiangsu won the title and folded later on, they last captured headlines in 2019. The club owners had the Welsh Gareth Bale on their radars. However, they just couldn't complete the deal, and that was perhaps the best thing that could have happened to the club then. They still got the soft dough, but adding the wages of someone like Gareth Bale to all that mess would have been much worse. Jiangsu recorded an average attendance of 27,000 people and was losing lots of money. But soon their owners, which had major stake in Internazionale and also owned the PPTV which broadcasted the Premier League matches in China, had enough money until COVID struck. With COVID and no matchday revenue, the losses the club and its owners were incurring got even bigger. Zhang Jindong, soon its biggest shareholder, had to announce that the company were cutting all non-retail businesses, and this applied to Jiangsu's also, a club that was already in debt over £67 million. No one wanted to buy the club even with an asking price of a single cent. With no help coming from nowhere, the club folded. What this story tells us is that the big money signings and ridiculous wage structures were just a precursor to the fall in attendance. The whole system was doomed to fall right from the start. Many top international footballers who played in the Chinese Super League have had their contracts terminated. Even the likes of Fernando Martins and Renato Augusto appealed to FIFA and complained about a wage installment that never seemed to come. Players are losing money here and there. When suing in the soft, the Brazilian Miranda lost about £7.5 million. That's a lot of money to lose. While he could get lawyers to fight for his money, it's now a whole new ballgame, as the Brazilian is also without a club. Not that the fall of the league was all players' fault, all the outrageous signings and ridiculous wages were because the league hasn't been properly regulated. Now the Chinese Football Association has come back to its senses in a bid to save its precious league. The CFA has started by making Chinese clubs less corporate. I don't know how China's club owners are taking this though, but the CFA has almost removed completely dependency on cash injections from large companies, forcing their clubs to become more professional. Before the 2021 season kicked off, the CFA also installed a salary cap. International players should now be paid a maximum of £2.7 million yearly, unlike what Carlos Tevez earned yearly for what he described as a holiday in China. The overspending is something off the track, said Luis Louis, the general secretary of the CFA. Out of the $180 million, the average amount spent in 2019, 70 to 80% goes into the pockets of the players. And of that, about 70% is the salaries of the international players. And all these policies seem to be working. Last year, the most expensive signing made in the winter transfer window from Europe was Ante Majstorovic. The Croatian was signed by Shanghai Seaport for about £3 million. There's a huge difference from 5 years ago. You can say China's club owners are becoming somewhat responsible. There's also been an investment in youth development in thousands of schools around the nation, and there's a bit of optimism that this may work for them by the end of the decade. Long term, Chinese football could still have a bright future, but it depends on how China's club owners deal with these short-term issues. And well, that's all for now, guys. You'll be shocked at just how much influence club owners have on the growth of our favorite clubs. I hope you enjoyed it. Do you think there's hope for Chinese football? Do you think European clubs are years away from facing a crisis just like this? Do well to give us your suggestions in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell icon so you can get notifications about any future videos.